Hello there, this is Stormdog, and today I'd like to talk about Peninsula, the follow-up to the 2016 film Train to Busan. First, let me say how enjoyable the first film was. It was a fresh take on the zombie genre, especially with well-developed characters and their respective arcs. It never quite went in the direction I expected. In this day and age, many zombie films are a combination of lazy writing, excessive gore, and, depending on the target audience, juvenile humor. This movie was a refreshing, chaotic story set in South Korea. Peninsula picks up 4 years after the outbreak in the original film. It's not so much a sequel as just set in the same cinematic universe. Now there's a term that's quickly becoming overused. I'm not sure if many were upset that it was not a proper sequel or the fact that it took the action in a different direction. The action in the first film was claustrophobic for the most part and had more strategy behind it. This movie opens up the formula quite a bit, especially with the inclusion of firearms. Monster horror films that have minimal firearm inclusion in the first entry of the series usually up the ante significantly in the second film. Aliens comes to mind as the obvious example, although I think Phantasm 2 would be a solid example. Phantasm 2 took the series in a much more action-focused direction, providing the protagonist with much more agency, a decision undone in the entries that followed, at least until the most recent entry. Yet the second, considered by many to conform the least to the overall series, is my favorite one. Maybe the 4-barrel shotgun just sets off my caveman brain. Either way, you could argue that this series made the same mistake. Although I don't really consider it to be a mistake, but then I'm not general audiences. It is a sequel in theme and setting, not in continuity of characters. No characters from the first film show up in this one. I don't think there's even any Easter eggs referencing them, which makes sense, considering these are just small stories in a bigger world, not characters finding a cure to end the outbreak. They are just simply people surviving. I will say, Peninsula used the plot of going back into the quarantine zone to recover a vast sum of money before Army of the Dead. It may just be a coincidence, weak writing, or the fact that no doubt this plot has been used sometime in the past and I just can't recall it right now. The film has a healthy amount of tactical gunplay with included takedowns, thank you John Wick for inspiring a generation, and vehicular homicide. It leans very heavy into the post-apocalypse side of things in this film. I'm not sure what tale they choose to tell in this world next, or even if they will after this entry's weak reception stateside. If they do, I will happily be there waiting. Let me point out, you could watch this film without having any knowledge of the first one and still be perfectly fine. Forgive me for any mispronunciations. The director, Sang Ho-yeon, has not done anything outside these films that I have personally encountered. One of the leads, Dong Won-gang, was great in allaying the Wolf Brigade and Kundo, Age of the Rampant. I actually have that DVD sitting over here in front of me. Lee Jong-hyun was in Battleship Island, that's a really good one, and Admiral, Roaring Currents, kind of a war peace drama, well worth sitting through. Some great developed battles at the end. All 4 of these films are excellent South Korean films. The film kept me much more entertained than the average zombie flick, although I just skip those anymore. Sadly, at this time, I cannot find a streaming service carrying this movie. If you enjoyed this video, consider checking out my other cinema essays, leaving a like, and leaving your thoughts on Peninsula in the comments below. Until next time, this has been Stormdog.